not win Latin America when they still had their own region, it wasn't even because of Kelazhur. It was because of Cham. So I think we should just lean back and enjoy this TVT. It's obviously very high level. These two, they could make proper runs in Europe as well. I think it's going to be a fun series.
I think so too, man. I really hope so, because we did get a teaser of this during the group stage. It wasn't the best. I did the hype up. I thought, oh, I think this is going to be really fun. It was a bop. It really was. It's very quick, but it was one of those best threes where the first game you lose your Reaper, you lose the game. Second game you get mech'd a bit. That's how Kelazhur lost, so we'll see what happens this time around as we start off on the top left-hand side. Our red Terran player is SpeCial.
And in the top right side, we are looking at the main base of the man who is teamless. Obviously represented Team Liquid for a long time, but he's currently still looking for a new org to join and represent them. A lovely fella, great player. He's been around for a long time. We all love him. The citizen of the world, Kelazhur. Can't think of many places that this man has not lived, Waddy.
Not in the UK, I guess. Smart man.
No, I know, but he's been in Europe for quite some time, so I think that kind of counts. Netherlands, UK, you know, what's to it? Obviously, there is ping advantage, as we're joking a little bit about where Kelazhur has lived. This is important to keep in mind. This is the ESL Americas, and obviously because it is the ESL Americas, we are supposed to play on American servers. Now, Kelazhur is living in Europe, but that does not mean that these games will be played on the European server. They will still play it on America. He can obviously choose if he wants to participate in the Americas, or I think he has the right papers to participate in Europe too. But he wants America. He feels that he can do better in this region. If only it wasn't for that Mexican dude that keeps on stopping him.
Yeah, no, it's very true, man. He's been stopped by this man so many times. As our CC goes down, we do get our depot coming up from Kelazhur in the main base. The command center on the natural. Hey, Reaper is on the way around as well, just heading down the bottom right corner, looking to see a little bit of what is going on.
I feel like we've had a couple of very surprising opening maps today to these best of fives, like Equilibrium, Ratu
Yeah.
It's like, I really thought that these would just be almost default vetoes, where it's like, oh, it's nice that we have 9 maps, but they're always going to veto these 2, and then we basically still have like a 7 map pool, but that is absolutely not the case.
No, we're getting them played a lot. Obviously, maybe in a TVT I can understand this one surviving a little bit more, but yeah, I haven't seen Radu said a few times today. I'm with you, mate. I'm sat here thinking, like, what are they playing this map for? And then it feels like everyone tries to play like some funky mind game, like, oh, you know, I'll let it into the matchup where maybe it's not so good for me. I'll play this mind game, and then they just die because the map's not good for them. It's kind of it's kind of been a funny day, but yeah, Equilibrium for TVT, big map. We'll see what SpeCial has planned, especially. I don't think we're going to see too much weakness out of Kelazhur. I think he's going to play a pretty typical kind of, you know, Terran versus Terran. But SpeCial, I could see him mixing it up with some mech at points. And that, of course, can get very interesting in terms of what he can then do.
Yeah, Kelazhur is often the aggressor, right? And he just keeps on running into Juanito, and then he doesn't quite find the damage that he's looking for. And then the weird builds of Juanito start hitting like a truck. SpeCial, of course, ended up in this lower bracket after losing the TVP he played against Trigger a couple days ago. And we mentioned earlier that in Europe the boys don't always scout. I feel like Clem is only the real honest TVT player in the European scene. These two, Wadi, haven't really seen a whole lot either. We're 4 minutes into Equilibrium. Kelazhur has seen as far as his natural goals, and SpeCial only now is sending out his first Reaper to make it to the 50-yard line over here on Equilibrium. They like to play in the dark, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, they are just going to play completely blind. And it's funny because you see the fast cloak Banshee on the way up here from SpeCial, but there is a Raven, and now a second one building, and Cyclones coming out from Kelazhur. Obviously, this depends on whether he moves across the map with these Cyclones or not. If they stay at home, he is well set to make sure the Banshee will do absolutely nothing.
Juanito and the Cloak Banshee, name a more iconic duo. He often tells us that he'll never see it coming. Well, let's see if Kelazhur can see it coming. He's going to split off the Hellion, but still ends up losing the Hellion. Nice on Burrow immediately. I also always feel that SpeCial, he's got hit or miss moments overall in these tournaments. Like, I think Trigger played very well against him, but I don't think he really played his best. But it seems that whenever SpeCial goes up against Kelazhur, he always brings his A game. Like, it's personal or something.
Yeah. It's true, man. He almost levels up, even when he's not been playing as great recently, as the Hellions actually are winning out over on the natural. Cyclones locking on, but they get out of reach. Here comes the Banshee. The Ravens and Cyclones will be pretty darn quick to get over there, and this is going to be the first Banshee getting chased away, going down, and that's kind of rough when you're trying to build more Banshees and Hyperflight Rotors losing a Banshee like this already doesn't exactly set you up well for the follow-up, which is also going to be Banshee reliant.
No, Juanito is busting out all the stops here with weird stuff. Did not reveal, by the way, that he had Cloak there. In a weird way, I kind of like it, right? Because what's the point of activating Cloak if there are 2 Ravens on top of your ass? Yep. Yeah, that it makes no sense at all. And now at least he's going to make sure that I guess Kelazhur does not think it is Cloak. There's no missile turrets. And if the Ravens go for their own journey, look at Banshee number 2. They never see it coming, to quote the man himself. They have some potential.
They have some potential. Coming around this top left-hand side, there's the Ravens. Look to get on in. The Mother Banshee coming across the map. It's double auto turret. Quick response from SpeCial, though. We saw in some of the earlier TVT, Ravens really kind of added up a lot of workers over time. This time the SCVs pull quickly. One Raven still lurking with the energy to drop one more auto turret just to force. Even the pull away once again is annoying. Mentioned the Banshee. It does get in for a couple kills. Locked onto now. Should get out of there. Is able to escape away.
Yep, there was one more Raven as we open up triple Raven on the side of Kelazhur. And he is going to be able to take care of it without losing too much. Does not get the kill, but did enough damage that he should send it home packing. Bizarre build here by SpeCial, and if it wasn't SpeCial, we'd be losing our minds but it is SpeCial, and we're like, oh yeah, a whole bunch of Cyclones, a bunch of Banshees, Hyperflight Rotos, Banshee Cloak. We know that he likes it. Like, what would you like to see Diego do here? Keep it simple, just wait for 1-1 upgrades to come online, Stim, Combat Shield, couple tanks, and then start dictating the pace of the game, or is there something else you'd love to see?
Yeah, I think just keeping it simple is fine, especially against this kind of mech, because you don't need to kind of like rush into like air control of your own or so. I think it's fine just to play bio against it and at least match the activity that the Cyclones try and put on the map for a while. Especially when you've been doing so well early, you're trading well with these early units. It's not like there's a massive fleet of Banshees or this set of Cyclones is overwhelming at this point. So, yeah, keep it simple, keep it going.
This has been a massive supply block by SpeCial, and he's kind of taken care of it by bleeding out a couple of units, but he's been on 93 for, I'm not kidding, right now a minute. And he's still not building any depots. And I know we can lose a couple of units, but I don't think that's quite how we're supposed to play StarCraft 2. Taking care of supply blocks by just losing Cyclones over and over again. He's still losing more Cyclones. The man has not built a depot for almost 2 minutes at this point and desperately needs it. He's not going to send in the Banshees as well, but there's more than enough anti-air on the side of Kelazhur. And as much as we love weird stuff and as cool as we think this all is and it looks, it feels like it's really not going anywhere. Not even for Juanito today, as he does lose those 2 Banshees. He is finally going to build depots. He's been at 93 for so damn long.
Yeah, no, this is all going wrong. He's just been very ineffective with his units thus far. And you can see Kelazhur just continuing to move on up. And I'm a little worried about what we actually have to hold off this army. There's 1 tank out from SpeCial. Well, now there's 2, but there's 3 Ravens and 2 of them are pretty much full energy. So unless they go down to these Cyclones in the next couple of moments, I feel like we have an attempted bust on this third that's very likely going to work. You're going to get tanks in position. At the very least, your SpeCial's probably looking at an SCV pull to have a chance of surviving. That's obviously not exactly great as these Ravens are going to come in. And Matrix just to threaten the tank back. I mean, more than anything, you're just losing the position, and that's significant enough here.
Even if these SCVs turn into gladiators, mate, I don't know if I really believe that we can survive. That 1 Cyclone is a hero, though. Somehow kills not 1 but 2 Ravens. That is pretty good, but we have a couple of bio units on top of these SCVs. A lot of SCVs are injured. SpeCial has 4 Cyclones on the other side of the map, but it's not doing anything. As another interference matrix goes down, that 1 final Cloak Banshee is not enough damage. It feels that Diego should be able to end it, but he obviously does need a few more units. Does kill that final Banshee. Another matrix goes down. I don't see a way for Juanito, but I would love to I would love to see him prove me wrong. But even the orbital dies. We did not repair it.
This game's just a disaster. GG go next, I think, is the motto here from SpeCial as he loses another siege tank as well. This was a disaster from the start, man. Like, everything about this has just been bad. Like, he just did not play a good game. Yeah, it was funky, it was different, but like, you know, he's used to playing this and we've seen him succeed with it before. This was just not it at all.
No, it's not close, and that is not what we expect. And often when it's not close between these two, it is in favor of Juanito, who's got a very good historic track record against the man from, well, Brazil, America, currently living in the Netherlands, Diego. He's getting his 2-2 upgrades, building another command center on location, adding in a couple of liberators. I guess he doesn't want to throw, but I don't think it matters how hard you try. I just don't see Kelazhur ever throwing this, and I kind of agree with your sentiment of GG, go next, and I think that we are just seconds away from going there. It was not Juanito's game. Whatever he had in mind, it did not work out at all.
Nope, it really did not, as our tanks just push further up. There's already a drop in the main base as well. Kelazhur can just slowly, systematically push his way deeper into Special's territory. And at some point, Special ever wants to break out, there's going to be a horrible trade for him. As Kelazhur's even building up the Liberators, which is a good way to kind of force some fights and force units to move into tank fire or liberation zones. Just guarantees some trade. Special trying to rebuild a third on the left-hand side, so he ain't giving it up. I mean, credit to his dedication.
Yeah, but we have 2 Liberators and 5 Vikings on the side of Kelazhur. The moment that these libs show up and they start dropping circles, I guess the only answer Juanito has for that is try to get Cyclones in range, get a couple lock-ons. But it really does seem like a bit of a pipe dream.
Banshee gets a tank, but again, we need so much more than just a single siege tank kill. As 3 tanks and 4 Cyclones do build at a time. We finally kind of go into production mode, but yeah, what's the answer to the Liberators? Getting Cyclones in range ain't really going to do it. Biog jumps on the tanks as they try to unsiege and reposition, and this is just all Kelazhur for this game number 1.
Yep. I want to take a little look at once that 93 out of 93 started and once it ended. And I know he bled out like a couple Cyclones here and there, but that is not a way you take care of a supply block, right? Like, let's lose a unit and then rebuild it. So basically, he was 93 out of 93 at 642. And he only got out of the 93 maximum supply at... I think he used call down for depot before his depots were actually done. At 806. So it was almost 90 seconds of being stuck at 93 supply. Yeah, in a game of StarCraft 2, professional game, I mean, that's a lifetime.
Especially early in the game as well, right? Like, you know, 100 supplies early enough that's just game ending for it in a lot of ways. And that's without everything going wrong on the map. That's without, you know, the Banshees and the Cyclones that would just kind of getting picked off without achieving anything. So yeah, not the prettiest of first games here from SpeCial. And Kelazhur starts up by 1. You mentioned it. Usually this series historically is a bit of a landslide win for SpeCial, and if it is close, it's usually like Kelazhur just pips, you know, SpeCial to the post. But yeah, their map score difference all time is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's heavily in favor of Juanito, and the series have often been heavily in favor of Juanito. We had many seasons, Wadi, where if you would ask not just the casters, but you ask a lot of the other pro gamers, who would you rather play at the moment, Kelazhur or SpeCial? A lot of them would have said from time to time, oh, at the moment, I'd rather play SpeCial. Even though he's had his moments and he peaked in Korea from time to time, there were moments where Kelazhur just looked like the better player. Unless they actually ran into each other in the tournament, it was just always SpeCial. And now, obviously, first game of a best of 5 is not going to determine the outcome of this series, but that was a very promising start. I want to say one of the more promising starts I've ever seen for Diego in this specific tournament against SpeCial.
Well, let's see if it will keep up, or will it be the bounce back in the bottom right? Trying to bring it back, it is our Red Terran player SpeCial down by a map.
And that obviously means that in the top left side of Oceanborn, we're going to go ahead and take a little look at the main base of the man who's had a flying start. Just made all the correct calls. Like, he dotted the I's, crossed the T's, and he just kind of got the job done with a very normal TVT setup. It's Kelazhur.
Not much to have to dive into on that one, right? Just, like you say, he kept it simple and got it done. He's going to mix it up this game. Second barracks out on the map. Second time we've seen a build like this today. It's kind of taking the favor of a few players to kind of build the second racks aggressively and just get that Reaper aggression on the go.
Yeah, earlier today it worked out like a charm, or it worked as a gem, because obviously Gabe had the worst possible build order against it. One Reaper into reactor with low ground CC. It's good to see that Juanito is not aiming for that setup, but let's see what he's actually aiming for. But in any case, it should be better than it was for Gabe on El Sione.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's really hard to match that kind of a build. Already double gas, of course, is nice here from SpeCial. But yeah, that was just a disaster piece. Kind of, it was scripted almost how bad it was. So
nightmare scenario. But hey, kept it together and turned it around, right, in the entire best of 5. So that's pretty sick.
Yeah, no, that's actually really impressive, because he didn't look good at all in game 1 or 2, right? In game 3, he just about made it happen. But yeah, he really kicked it off after that, so. Fun games early on in Europe.
Overall, the last few days, I feel like, of the ESL Masters has been so good. Obviously, we had an epic day last week. where there were 8 best of 5s and it was nothing but 3-2s and then 2 3-1s, but not a single 3-0. And today Europe, and I think Asia was pretty fun as well, but Asia made me a bit sad, and we'll talk about that later as the Double Reaper is going to reveal itself. There is a low ground CC. Good news is at least there is a second Reaper on the production tab, but that low ground CC is still a little bit annoying to deal with, and now it all comes down to micro ping advantage on the side of SpeCial, but it's not a guarantee that you're going to win these micro battles.
Nope, that's true, as our Reapers continue in, and SCV will go down, so it's nice to start getting some damage done. If that command center can actually finish up on the low ground, that would be incredible. Right now, it's nice that both the Reapers survive. That's a big step towards actually seeing it through to the next stage of this game.
Yeah, exactly, and obviously they are regenerating, but SpeCial put them on the low ground already. Maybe a little bit too early. Sure, you buy time for that SCV. The Cyclone is here. Cyclones are powerful, but also somewhat fragile. And obviously, once we are trading, we are happy on the side of Juanito, the man who's trading this series 0-1. Actually kept that SCV alive. I thought that was a bit ambitious, but he got away with it.
That he did. No, good defense in the end, because now you're left with what? You know, you lost 2 Reapers, you still have a few of them. The Cyclones here, maybe at some point we get in the main, but I don't see Kelazhur doing much more anytime soon. Gonna try for the
Well, he's
Cyclone.
gonna go for it, and if he gets that Cyclone, the first one, it could still be big. We can obviously spam grenades as well on that ramp. SpeCial sending 1 Reaper to the other side of the map. I almost want to say it was a bit too early, but at least he's gonna get that big scout. That, hold on, wait a minute, still no CC. Kelazhur is still trying to make magic happen on the other side of the map, but I think now Juanito knows he's gonna have to just focus on the defense, and as long as he gets a reasonable defense in the next minute, he's kind of cooking in this game, because his command center is done, while Kelazhur has only dropped his.
Yep, that's a big deal, and just the knowledge, because now you can play in the correct way. Now you don't try and do too much when you don't need to. So that really puts you in a much better place than you might have been otherwise. That Banshee with the cloak continuing up as well. Cyclone on the way in on the side of SpeCial. As we see the Reapers of Kelazhur once again looking to make their way forwards, and it's going to be a medevac with a Cyclone inside coming up to the high ground as well.
Oh, Banshee is here. Cyclone could get the lock on immediately. That is what it does. Could have been done a tiny bit quicker. Now maybe because Kelazhur was a split second too late. It's actually SpeCial gets the lock on. That obviously means that medevac, means that Cyclone. The Reapers, however, are going to make a dive for this natural. And Diego still finding some pretty good damage here, and apparently also killing a Cyclone.
Yeah, Cyclone on top is really nice. The mule's obviously forced away. One of them is fresh. So, actually pretty good damage indeed, but he's still... Yeah, you know, he's still down in army supplies, so if SpeCial comes across the map, there's potential there. Actually, Kelazhur overall up in workers, now with his CC finishing, about to morph into that orbital. Obviously, we do have the harassment potential of the Banshees and Cloak to come in and consider as well, though.
That is triple Cyclone. First lock on. Good job by the Raven. All the turrets are very good against Cyclones, because Cyclones just have no HP. I mean, their lock on is terrifying, and they can deal so much damage, but they really have very little HP. Kelazhur is now going to try to repair his own Cyclone, and this might actually still be a very decent defense overall. Trading out some units is obviously fine with the damage he did. Wow, his Cyclone, what is this? The Super Saiyan Cyclone over here? 6 kills in a 6-minute game. That started off with a Banshee and 4 Cyclones against 1. Guess who came out on top? The Giga Chat Cyclone of Diego.
That was a beastly move, man. He really was great. As SpeCial, by the way, not deterred about game number 1. He is going straight back into just obviously we saw already Cyclone Banshee, but he is going to double down on again the Hyperflight rotors, more factories. He clearly liked the style, clearly knew it didn't go well last game, and clearly still believes in it. So it'll be interesting to see just how much better he does control-wise and execution-wise to make sure that this army composition can be used to success.
Yeah, maybe got a tiny bit unlucky last game that it was triple Raven, because it's not always triple Raven, right? It's quite often double Raven. And maybe if double Raven was the opening and Kelazhur does send those Ravens to the top left side, that 1 Cloak Banshee could have had a field day. But since it was triple Raven, and Kelazhur did a great job in leaving that 1 Raven behind, and his opening just kind of fell flat on its face. And maybe SpeCial just feels that this game is already now weird enough that it's always going to be better. It does drop a 3rd CC very early on location, and I do kind of like that, right? If you have the units that are controlling a lot of area, a lot of space in the center of the map, why not take advantage of it and build expense on location?
Makes a lot of sense. Map control is kind of meant to be used in that way, as the Banshee is just going to really chip for any little thing that they can find right now. A couple more Marines going down. Tank will take some shots. That's the value you're looking for from these Banshees, and that's what obviously SpeCial is hoping he can keep on up throughout this game, instead of just having Banshees fly over Marines and just get picked off time and time again.
I am with you though that it's a tiny bit weird that it went so bad in game 1. And then he's just like, let's go ahead and do it in game 2. Guys, this is not the Swiss format. This is not group stage. This is tournament live on the line. Lower bracket. If SpeCial loses this series, he will be eliminated. There's a lot of money to play for there. Those guaranteed deep seedings into the DreamHack Masters Atlanta to play for. So don't even think for a second that Juanito is doing this for fun. He clearly believes in it. The only question is, Wadi, do we believe in it?
Yeah, I believe in it if he plays it like this, right? Because so far, he's done it a lot better. He's been a little bit more careful with the units. Maybe I say there's a bad time as we see a Cyclone getting caught, and maybe a couple of these may go down, but in general, I feel like he's done much better. You have a couple of Widow Mines and SpeCial to stop Kelazhur just running across the map easily, so we'll see. The Banshees are also poised to maybe come in towards the main base as Kelazhur moves out, so a lot of possibilities here when we come out of this pause.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. There's also 2 Widow Mines, by the way, chilling behind these Cyclones. I only noticed them now. That's so odd. So we have Banshees on the top, Cyclones in the middle, and Widow Mines behind. Ravens are going to reveal it, but if these Ravens pull back, if the Cyclones can hide it, what is... Yeah, I mean, this is just something you never see in TVT. A bunch of Widow Mines in the center of the map. Cool.
Definitely an interesting little moment, but the Banshees actually decided to turn away as well. They did not find anything in the main, so they're going to come back and maybe try and help this army. The double Raven. It's a little scary because one of those Ravens is bruised, and we saw the Hero Cyclone last game doing well. As these Cyclones starting to go down, this is where it starts to feel like it's Disaster Town, just like last time, and that's a Banshee that goes down as well, so that's an issue. And the Cyclone's still hurt. We do have the other Banshees in the upper left going to come on through. That tank is going to siege up, and we are going to start picking our way through this third location. Kelazhur has worked his way into great position.
Oh, there's still a Raven here. There's still a Raven here special. I mean, he does get one of the tanks, but he loses a Banshee. The Orbital's taking a lot of damage. We're going to have to repair that Oracle. Excuse me, that Orbital real quick. No more Oracles. The day of the Oracle is over. We've seen enough of them. Yeah, good repair, because that would have been a disaster.
Protoss too busy in the winner bracket to be in the lower bracket games of America already, so Oracles will be back tomorrow, don't you worry. The Cyclones wrap around for the reinforcing Viking. That's a good grab. Marauder and Marines going down too. The army of Kelazhur still sat out down to the south. The Cyclones, one goes down, a Viking goes down. Fun fight. As Kelazhur is actually not doing half bad against us. Another Viking shows up. What is this fight?
What are these games, mate? I have no idea. Interference Matrix lands on one of the Banshees. Okay, I don't know what that was all about, but it happened. No cloak for you, as I'm a Raven. Well, I don't know what's happening, mate. We are gone full NA.
Yeah, they really do embrace the Americas and the Americas regions. We do lose 2 Banshees there. I mean, tank count's being kind of chipped away at for Kelazhur, so he doesn't have as much kind of staying power here, but looks good enough to me to still stick around. He's going to move on forward. There are going to be a lot of Cyclones now. This may be the problem. But man, Cyclones, they are so fragile. The few battle units will help out. The Vikings even landing as we do end this trade. SpeCial coming out ahead on supplies, mostly in that work account especially.
That's cool, by the way, with the Vikings trying to use the side blocker there, even though there was a Banshee on top of it, but making it seem like you're retreating, turning around. In the end, that indeed went very good for SpeCial, and Banshees did a good job, I think, in picking up some reinforcements and floating over this orbital immediately towards the 3 o'clock base, landing it. I do really love these skulls, right? When you're under pressure, when it's a bit chaotic, you don't float a base around like, oh, okay, I need to run into the tanks right now that are sieged up, and then you have to run into all the turrets too. Nope, just float it over immediately. Take a different base than what your initial plan was, but make sure you get back to mining ASAP. And with those 78 SCVs that he has, I think that's a really good call.
And like it too is Bio finds just a scouting depot on the map. And we wait to see what's next. SpeCial just taking the base straight away. All the extra barracks coming up from Kelazhur, so he's ready to really round up into a great amount of production here. As the Banshees again try to find a little extra. They will find a couple bits and pieces they fly through, but still going down. And overall, I'm not sure how much I've loved the Banshees in this game. Like, they've had their moments, but they've not been like this killer thing that's been unstoppable.
They got a tank there as well. So tank, nice. 6 SCVs, forced out, I think 2 scans even, because all the Ravens died. So this one I don't hate, because somehow one of the 2 Banshees actually makes it out with 6 HP. That was a pretty good flyby. I think that Juanito is going to be pretty happy with that one.
And that's probably the best it's been as our army of Kelazhur begins to move through the center again. So he wants to keep up, man. He wants to keep on being aggressive, being active. So he moves straight through the middle of the map to that bottom right-hand side. And we look to see whether or not this army of SpeCial is going to be able to hold off this army of Kelazhur very shortly. I think he'll be okay. At this stage, I think he's got the army up. So go ahead.
Very late +1 armor, by the way. And +1 attack was done very quickly, but he fired up armor very late. It's almost like maybe he didn't want to do it, or he just wanted to get attack upgrades, which is something that Terran players have sometimes done. But then he's like, I don't have an armor yet, so he went for armor perhaps anyway. But that's obviously a little bit late, because +1 has been done for minutes.
Yeah, especially when you're only on one engineering bay. You really want to just get those going, keep the upgrades going as well. Miss out on +1
Often armor doesn't even really save you against mech. It's like either you get a great engagement and your units will just kill everything, or the engagement is not that good, then it doesn't really matter how good the armor upgrades are, but they'll still get obliterated.
That's true. I always felt this when I played against mech. I was like, man, you know, like what difference would an upgrade make? My tanks either blast me or the tanks blast me. I don't usually do the blasting.
Exactly. Kelazhur thought of dropping the main base there, but then he saw the edge of the main base was SpeCial, and he's like, 4 turrets in the main, 2 turrets at the triangle, yeah, I'll pass. Meanwhile, SpeCial is making it to the other side of the map, and Kelazhur has absolutely no idea that an almost maxed out SpeCial is very casually running into his triangle.
Yeah, that's not great, because mech being allowed to, cross the map freely is never going to be a great deal. Mech army is meant to be slow, it's meant to be punished when it moves forward, and this obviously was not that at all. The Liberators, though, may be the saving grace. Kelazhur has been quick to build these in both games so far. And right now, they might actually be a saving grace. They're going to knock down this first line of tanks because the Cyclones struggle to get on top of them without taking mega damage themselves. Wow, that really is fantastic.
I felt like the Hellbats did more harm than good there. Now all the tanks on siege. Here come the Marauders. Not enough Hellbats. Cyclones left. I mean, SpeCial's going to lose everything here. I do think that he was far enough ahead that he can sort of afford it, but yeah, that wasn't it. I mean, just 2 or 3 Liberators seems to completely shut all of this down. And these Cyclones were like blocked by the Hellbats over and over again. A lot of Cyclones on move command there in the center. This is awkward.
High ground tanks might make this a little bit of a weird situation. We scan up. Now Kelazhur at least knows what he's playing around as he has to scan Liberators, take out the Banshee. For an additional moment as you do just see these Libs, though, will continue to control this space and just, again, difficult for the Cyclones to justify getting on top of and locking onto the Liberators. They're just taking so many losses in that process.
We have a Big Daddy Thor in the mix right now, and that's obviously going to help a little bit. Once these Liberators are gone, I think SpeCial is going to feel a lot better about it. Has a Viking showing up as well. There are 3 Vikings for Kelazhur. Kelazhur is still going to try to get some value out of the fact that his army is mobile. Well, that base, once upon a time, was an orbital. That's now a planetary. That's not something he wants to stim into.
Absolutely not, as our siege tanks will continue to sit just out in the center. More bio coming across, a couple of Libs getting set up. We are going to look to try and siege these up, as a lot of the tanks just are not siege. They're going to siege up where the Liberators are sieging, which isn't exactly a great sign. The bio on the bottom dealing with the Cyclones, zoning those away from those Liberators. A few tanks left up on the top. There's a tank on the high ground as well. It looks as though Kelazhur will just not quite win out as he tries to break through a little bit extra. That one Viking runs on top of a siege tank on the top, gets a final kill. But that is now going to be Kelazhur pushed back.
Wait, why is there a barracks with a tac lab in the center of the map, Waddy?
I have no idea, mate. Where did this come from? How long has that been there?
Not very long. I guess we just randomly, it was flying around, and at one point he's like, F it, I want to go ahead and get some value out of it. Now, these are some new tactics. Imagine you gewoon niet and you're scanning this, and you're like, WTF, mate, what the hell is that?
I brought my production to you.
That was a very funny fight, because it felt that was the slowest and most hesitant SCV pool I've ever seen, where it's like, am I gonna pull the SCV? Yeah. And then they kind of went, but they didn't really went. And then those tanks, as you mentioned, sieged up in the circles. And it felt like a really awkward fight where Kelazhur is like, is it happening? And then SpeCial's like, I think it's happening. It was just a really bizarre interaction between those 2 armies. Oh no, the barracks, by the way.
Man, he had so much potential, but it will go down, so that will fall. CC top right delayed a few moments as Hellions try to run by here. We catch them, good targeting with them, conquest of shells. And Kelazhur, yeah, just going to jump on a base. Enough DPS to take this down. It looks like it. A few more shots and he's got it. That's a huge base loss for SpeCial because he doesn't have, bases to replace it with right now. We're not at that point where we've just spammed CCs. Few buy units will donate themselves in the end, but this was nice. In the end, though, as well, those 16 SCVs went down as well. Man, madness, as SpeCial finds damage on the other side.
Yeah, finds a lot of SCVs, but if he loses all these Cyclones, I still think I like it a little bit more for Kelazhur than I like it for SpeCial. Because you mentioned it, he does not have extra bases. So now we're floating over our main, and I guess that's the best case scenario because there's only 500 or 600 minerals left in the main base anyway. But these fights are really going to have to go a lot better for SpeCial. He's actually the one that has lost more resources in this game, and I mean, it didn't work the first game, okay, it is what it is, but the second game, he had a much better start. It should have been a much better scenario for all of it, and it's still not looking fantastic. I look at the map, and Diego's just exploding, man.
He's kind of doing what the bio player should, but at the same time, this is a much more active mech army from SpeCial, because it was so Cyclone-focused at first, and yet he's never really taken advantage of that. Kelazhur hasn't let him. And like you say, resources lost being a bit worse for SpeCial is just not a mech thing. Usually if you're playing mech, you want to be trading better because your opponent can out-expand you. So this is just bad. Now we do have some Vikings to help with the libs. Kelazhur already has a few more units bottom side. He might be able to jump on some units backing away here. Or just keep them back and wait for later. Just wait for that opportunity to arise again. So as Kelazhur adds 3 more starports of his own.
Yeah. Justice reigns from above. I believe that's what they say. What? I mean, that is just going to be a nightmare for Juanito to deal with. I don't think Juanito is totally dead in this game. But at this point, he's kind of on life support, and he just needs a magical fight. And it's not impossible with mech. We've seen that time and time again, so we shouldn't call games before they are truly over. But it does look very, very dire for SpeCial. And the most problematic thing, perhaps, is that I feel like it's not really going anywhere. Kelazhur has an army, by the way, in the center of the map. But it's just like, I don't see a great opening for SpeCial.
No, I really don't either. Like, Kelazhur just sits here, and unless he's just going to run headfirst in, which, sometimes does happen. Yeah, I feel like SpeCial has to wait for Kelazhur to make the mistake more than he can make the play himself. And especially now as Kelazhur has the extra starports up, he can reinforce the air units or the air kind of army just in general way better. I think that's one of his biggest strengths. He's even going to get Caduceus Reactor, so, it really is a series of everything.
We built something, we cancelled it, and I guess now we're building another armory. Maybe there was a starport for a split second, and he's like, never mind, I've got 5. There's no need to be that excessive. SpeCial has somehow been able to get another base up over here on the bottom side of the map. Obviously, they have both been maxed out or very close to maxed out a little while. SpeCial does not even have +2 armor, by the way, on his vehicle weapons. And I do feel for his army, it is kind of important, but especially all these libs, man. With advanced ballistics at this point, I know Thors can be good, Wardy, but I always feel that if the Liberators come out in high numbers with advanced ballistics, it is just a matter of time before the Thors start melting.
I'm with you, man, as this fight from Kelazhur is not it. He just ran in. These siege tanks got to absolutely eat up this army. Now a few units left over can run out, but that was a big supply dip for Kelazhur. And he has siege and liberators all over the place, causing trouble on mineral lines, on siege tanks and so on. He's denying the mine off the bottom base, but, I mean, SpeCial might have a time to go, Roddy. This might be the opening.
Yep, I mean, that was an incredibly good fight because Kelazhur had so much supply all over the place. Does have a couple of tanks left behind in the center. That's going to buy time. Low HP Marauders counterattacking in that base on the right side. I kind of like it, man, because it just gives him time, right, to spend all that money to get something out of all those extra bases that he's been mining from all this time. I love it. Like, sure, these Marauders are stuck. Oh, SpeCial, that is not how you deal with it. I mean, even if they have 1 HP, mate, they still pack a punch.
Yeah, they are just going to be left there. SpeCial is almost all in with his economy being so low, and these Liberators are putting in work. The Vikings, however, will work their way through those libs, and these libs need to start doing something, because just letting the Vikings kill you ain't it. Kelazhur is actually going to have a gas issue here, Roddy. He's not going to have enough gas banked up to fight this.
Kind of think that's a little bit personal, Waddy. I don't think we should be talking about it. No, I was thinking about it earlier. I should have taken those refineries a whole lot earlier. Bad joke, mate. Someone made that the other day to me, and I was like, oh my god, I hate Twitch. But now I'm going to use it the next time one of my fellow commentators says it. No, but I think he has taken those refineries, and we went from producing 1 or 2 Vikings at a time to 10+ Vikings at a time. A bunch of Marines as well. SpeCial still bleeding out SCVs to another Liberator that sees up on that triangle. It just kind of feels that we're playing Kelazhur's game. SpeCial had one really good fight, but it wasn't a clean sweep. It was really good, but it wasn't the overwhelming victory. I think he really needed to make something of this game. Extra Vikings and Marauders have shown up. Liberator's gonna siege up. Thors are derping a little. In the end, the Thors will take care of most of the libs, but that is not going to make a difference. Game 2 should go in favor of Kelazhur as well. This is going to lend a find a few Vikings. And what is it actually happening for once? Or am I getting ahead of myself?
We've had a reverse sweep already today already. I think we need to calm it down. Kelazhur has looked good. There's been moments in this game when he nearly gave up the lead, right? So I'm not going to get too excited until it actually happens. There is the GG this time. Kelazhur is going to take that 2-0 lead over SpeCial for the moment. Wow. I mean, what a wild game. Even at the end, like, there was an SCV flank from Kelazhur. I don't know where they came from. That's just the kind of game we're playing, apparently. So, fun stuff. Game number 2, delivering. Much better game from SpeCial, obviously, because he actually survived, you know, and it did go better for him for a while. And then it started to go bad, and then he kind of brought it back again, so maybe it is time to just leave this style in the dust, though. It just isn't working, right?
Yeah. No, I think at this point we really have to let it go. It's 0-2, it's lower bracket, tournament life is on the line. You've done historically so good against your opponent when you just do the same stuff. Well, every now and then he's always throwing in a mech game occasionally, right? But I can't really remember a series where it was mech all the way from Juanito. He's such a good marine tank player too. It's rough. I really think that a lot of people looked at SpeCial as obviously one of the contenders to potentially ship the entire ESL Americas. Maybe he's an underdog in this day and age against Scarlet and obviously, man, Australia. I was going to say Neep, but Neep's not playing. But, you know, a serious contender. I didn't think it'd be in this much trouble. And I don't want to say early, because obviously we're kind of deep into the playoffs. But 0-2 with 6 players left, did not really expect that.
Nope. It's definitely been a much better showing from Kelazhur than we expected. Especially again, because for me, the group stage match between these two is really quite damning for Kelazhur. You know, like, it was you are not set up well. Like, you know, SpeCial really kind of has your number a little bit again. And Kelazhur just fell apart, so we'll see what happens going into game number 3. Can Kelazhur get it done? What do you think, Roddy? Gets it done? Or do we go to some more games?
At this point, it almost feels crazy to say that he's not going to get it done because he has just looked pretty dominant. Not flawless, but still in control of the games. Let's see, it is Hecate. It seems that one of the boys is leaving town. Another boy is just going to build a supply depot. We'll talk about that later. Bottom left side of Hecate. The man who's down 0-2 needs to win 3 games in a row if he wants to crown himself ESL America's winter champion. This is Juanito. Obviously, he needs to win a whole bunch of series after this too, but it starts by winning these 3 games. That's what I meant.
It starts here. It ends on Sunday. In the top right side, our blue Terran player, 2-0 in the lead. One more map will send him through to the top 4. It's Kelazhur.
I do think it's important to mention one more time. These games, guys, are played on US Central. I think that's the best server that SpeCial can play on. He doesn't have perfect ping, because obviously internet from Mexico, maybe not quite perfect yet. But his ping is definitely, I think, better than the ping that Kelazhur has from the Netherlands. So there are no ping issues involved here either. And if anything, the ping favors SpeCial. I'm really surprised by how this best of 5 is panning out so far.
Can only echo it, man. Like, maybe if SpeCial was playing from Korea, it was also the middle of the night as well. Because I feel like that's been SpeCial in the past. When we've seen him, like, flop, it's like, well, you know, it was early on. He hasn't set his sleep schedule up. You could tell he was playing tired. This ain't it anymore, right? Like, those factors just aren't there now.
No, it should be perfectly fine time zone-wise. Like, I don't know what it is for Juanito, but maybe 3-4 p.m. You should be chilling. Anyway, we have a CC on the low ground. Kelazhur did not scout a whole lot. We mentioned it on Equilibrium as we were, like, I don't know, 4 minutes into the game, and the man literally only saw his main and his natural. Has not scouted this time around either, and Juanito is clearly going to punish him, or at least try to punish him for it. Reaper is going to show up real quick, and it's... where's the Reaper of Kelazhur? Oh, it's on the low ground.
Yeah, not great. Needs to make sure that this bunker does not go up, of course. He is making a Marine on the follow-up. The benefit of that is it, you know, builds quickly. The negative is that, well, it doesn't regenerate like a Reaper does, so it's a little bit more kind of, you know, likely to die. But for the moment, good defense. Kelazhur gets rid of the depot, the bunker, sorry, and that's a big first step.
Yeah. And an SCV for an SCV, which I think is perfectly fine, right? If you're the defender, if you are the one dropping that CC on the low ground, needs to be very careful here. Knows that, can buy some time maybe with a grenade. But 2 Marines, even if they don't regenerate, they do pack a little bit of a punch. Especially at the bare minimum wants 1 more SCV, but it also means that the Reapers are a bit stuck. No, those Reapers are stuck. Yep. I think one of them should always go down, but at the bare minimum, he's hoping to kill the Reaper of Kelazhur, and he does. And that Reaper in the end will fall 1 for 1. At least the command center is done on the side of Kelazhur. He's going to be happy with that.
Yep, he's got the CC much faster. There is going to be a 3rd Reaper now popping out from SpeCial. Let's see if he can do much. Hellion is not far away. Actually loses one of the Reapers already. That's obviously a big deal. Now the Hellion's here as well, so this next Reaper is also in trouble. I mean, Kelazhur saw where it ran to. Can the Hellion catch it? He didn't quite have vision. He didn't know which way it turned, so that Reaper does get away.
Nice jukes. Cristiano Ronaldo, the Reaper. But the Reaper is still going to run into the Hellion. Perhaps Cyclone is in the natural. But it's obviously nice for Kelazhur to know that that Cyclone is here. He's going to get his own Cyclone. Barracks is going to help out to give some vision, maybe with the lock-ons. I mean, these TVTs between these two are just wild. It's a lot of battling. SpeCial definitely finding some good damage now because Cyclones are so crazy good. The lock-on needs to be on the Cyclone, right? Whoa, Kelazhur locked on the Reaper.
Yeah, that's not great, but he gets the Cyclone anyway. Just cost him a Cyclone as well. We now have this Barracks trying to build a Marine. There's another Cyclone SpeCial coming across the map.
Maybe he just attacked the Reaper, or he can just lock on everything, but it felt that he locked on the Reaper first. I think that was a tiny mistake, because I don't think he had to really lose. I mean, we are building Marines in the natural of our opponent, Wardy. We are looking at this like it's just another day at the office, but what on earth am I looking at? It's the Barracks Rush.
The Barracks Rush, yeah, we need this Cyclone to come down the ramp. It was sat in the high ground AFK for a little bit, but it comes down now. Yeah, man, the Barracks Rush, but, I mean, maybe it's just revenge, you know? We had the Barracks in the middle of the map from Kelazhur last game as well. These Barracks don't know where they're meant to be anymore, apparently.
Medevac can obviously help out a lot, right? And a lot of micro potential to break those lock-ons, and Kelazhur needs to be very careful what he locks onto, wants to kill that Barracks, so he at least doesn't have to worry about any additional Marines popping. We have gone 4-8. Juanito misses the pickup.
That is not good. That's a full Cyclone that should not have died when the Medevac is there. And now look at what Kelazhur has. He's got the Raven, so you've built a Medevac that then didn't go on to save the Cyclone like it should have done. And your opponent has the Raven, which is just a good unit to have throughout from here. And you actually see the Liberator coming up as well from SpeCial, so he's going to continue looking to harass. Does bring the Cyclones back across. Kelazhur currently building Cloak, Roddy. How much of a mistake do we think that is?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, maybe we missed a new patch and the Ravens can cloak right now. By the way, that Medevac was so risky. The Cyclones could have been able to get the lock on there, and the top right side is still going to get the double lock on. Juanito is playing without any fear, and sometimes that's a good thing, but I feel like it's really not working out for him. What are we finding in the main base? Auto turrets landing. It's just, it feels like an almost nightmare series. There is a Liberator for SpeCial. Maybe that Liberator can get done a little more than it should, as he is dropping another CC on location, but I am not really feeling a lot of these trades for the Mexican Terran player.
Nope. I'm with you, man. I do not think that this is, it, honestly. Yeah, the Lib is going to get a couple of SCVs. I mean, overall, I guess, worker counts are fairly even. Resources lost is actually even as well, so all said and done, the real deficit I see here from SpeCial is the 3rd CC is faster from Kelazhur. And I guess in a way that he's kind of playing the same style as before. Obviously no Banshees for him this time, but once again, going Mech, going Cyclones, getting Hurricane Thrusters. That's his current game plan.
Auto turret is going to go down again in the main base of SpeCial. We had no pull at all on SCVs in the natural. We have not really a pull on this one. I mean, in the end, Kelazhur kind of dropped the ball there, right? Shooting at that Cyclone. He could have killed more. I'm a bit worried for Juanito. Not just because I'm not really loving where he's going in this series, but like, it just doesn't feel like Juanito. We are struggling with everything. Pulling SCVs away. He's a little bit late. He's derping them around there. This is looking rough. I mean, maybe he can get some great lock-ons and the Cyclones can start snowballing. We have Barracks number 2 on the other side of the map. He rebuilt the Barracks. You kind of have to, otherwise you can't really build anything anymore as a Terran player. We're going to send the Cyclones forward. Look at the amount of SCVs that are dying to auto turrets, Wadi. And I know auto turrets are annoying, but that's a little more than a man like Juanito is supposed to lose, right?
No, definitely true, as we are going to have to drop order turrets now to defend against this Liberator, apparently, at least forced to unsiege. It will not unsiege, so SCV's just standing and fighting. They're going to take a lot of shots. That's 5 workers going down. No, just the 4, but still not bad, because we've also got a Liberator in the natural. The Liberators are finding so much damage that the Banshees never found last game, so I like that as a switch-up, if that's the more or less game plan from SpeCial.
Cyclone lock on that Liberator in the main base. Lip will still get... Alright, SCVs. Apparently these guys made a gentleman's agreement. It's like, hey, whatever happens, SCVs will not get moved, okay? And they're like, sick, let's like make it a messy and a bloody and a sloppy war. And that's absolutely what it is. 39 SCVs have died in an 8-minute game.
Yep.
Oh no.
Cyclone there gets caught. Bio and Tanks is going to come through, knock that down straight away. Raven's overhead. Just seeing Kelazhur pushing in. Raven is going to drop an order turret down as well. The Cyclone gets turned back a ways, back into the center.
This is 4 Ravens, by the way. There's 4 Ravens in the mix. There is 1 Viking that was used defensively. The Cyclones have turned around for Juanita and are thinking of going into the natural, but Stim is done. And Marauder packs such a big punch. 1 Stim is done, and I mean, this is not really going to do that much damage, I think. Almost all of these Cyclones die. We have an anti-armor missile. Marines and Marauder stimming forward at the bottom side of the map. All the turrets going down. Missile turret not quite ready yet. I mean, at least Kelazhur lost a lot of units there as well, and these other turrets will expire. I am worried. The Cyclones need to shine brighter than they have shined throughout this entire series so far.
It's now going to be the Liberator of SpeCial coming in to do damage, but Marauders are going to go over onto that mineral line. And this is going to take a few moments to clean up, so a few SCVs continue to go down. SpeCial is going to have an order turret coming in that's going to try and fight a little bit. A Viking landed is actually going to lose out to the Marauder on that left-hand side, so that's a big deal. This Liberator going to go for a siege tank now. Order turret and Cyclone together will get it, but it costs you the siege tank. I mean, Kelazhur is still taking the edge at the moment.
He actually got 2 tanks there, right? With a single lip, just YOLOing, he got 2 tanks. I think that was okay, but SpeCial needs a little bit more because he doesn't have a lot of battle units left. He's got 2 tanks, 3 Cyclones, 1 Viking, against 6 Marauders with Stim. I mean, it feels like there are so many openings, and the 3 Cyclones are even on the other side of the map. They will get lock-ons on the reinforcements, so that's a couple of Marines falling. Vikings will land. Cyclones do feel mega stuck, and I don't see a way how any of these Cyclones is ever going to make it out. I mean, they are kind of cheap, I guess, VODs. They bought some time, but can Juanito crank out enough units defensively to weather the next storm? As Kelazhur is doubling him in army supply.
Yeah. Not really feeling it, because you're only on what? I mean, 3 tanks is okay. The missile turrets are important because they're going to stop the Ravens from getting matrixes. That's going to be an order turret eating 1 shot. The tanks just, I mean, they go deep, but then they don't reach far enough, right? So now this base has to lift off, go elsewhere. This is time in which you're not mining properly, and that's obviously a big problem as Kelazhur puts that orbital low. Can't quite justify killing it. It does feel like Kelazhur's got momentum on his side. 4th base building on location, so he feels comfortable. He's got map control. Hard to disagree with that statement, that feeling.
Yeah, I think he's got everything. SpeCial rally 2 Cyclones into the 3rd base of Kelazhur. Got a couple SCVs there, but Kelazhur is pretty quick to react. And as he's showing us, he is going up to 4 bases. I am very, very worried here for Juanito. I don't think this is the exit that many of us StarCraft 2 fans expected. Like, we know that Kelazhur has the skills to bring fire to SpeCial, to make him sweat, and to eventually take him down in one of these regionals, but this is almost just a little bit too one-sided. It should never be this one-sided. We know Kelazhur is good, but SpeCial is one hell of a player. Just whatever he's trying to do, it's not really working out today. He's down 40 supply, struggling to land the 3rd while the opponent's going up to 4 bases. A tiny chance, Waddy, but he's hanging on the edge of a cliff.
I think the real, thing to seal the deal right now from Kelazhur would just be build Liberators, because there's not really kind of an answer to Libs outside of a couple missile turrets, but generally, I think Libs would just really kind of push SpeCial to his limit right now. I mean, it might just be a surge of bio to get it done anyway. It's just all up a ramp, and obviously only defending 3 bases should be fairly doable for SpeCial, but then, of course, you're only defending 3 bases and you don't have a 4th in sight, so, yeah.
I like Lips, but you know what I also wouldn't hate? It's just 2 more medevacs and drop 4 medevacs into the main. Like, SpeCial has 2 turrets there, but there's honestly a pretty big gap between those turrets. There's a misready tank there for Kelazhur, so he's struggling a little bit. SpeCial is going to try to get 4 bases up and running. And if he gets that 4th base, then I might believe we're going to have a little drop on the tanks on the right side. That's not really getting a whole lot done, but that main army of Kelazhur that you were looking at is going to get on top of these tanks. These tanks fall, and Kelazhur says, at least not yet, Juanito. You're definitely not going to get that 4th base that easily. And the supply is just looking a little bit sad. 10 SCVs went down in all of that chaos. Where do we turn things around? At least the medevacs died, I guess, to look at the bright side. Well, not all of them, but there is no more healing power with this army on the left. But there are still 2 medevacs either in the bottom right side. Okay, good tank shots there in the center.
Yep, tank shot's gonna push a bunch of that bio away as medevacs wanting to come through. Libera just disappeared off the map as Kelazhur still just staying split on 2 sides, trying to make it so SpeCial has to spread out too thinly, so that then he can kind of puncture through. SpeCial's actually going to start moving up through the middle, saying, well, maybe if he misses this, yeah, I mean, maybe if Kelazhur misses it and SpeCial gets a siege up, maybe that's a fight for him, but I don't think so. As actually we lose a couple tanks on the bottom side as well. Kelazhur's just all over every move he makes.
Yep, Kelazhur is in all the right places. He's everywhere he needs to be. And SpeCial thought maybe I can just indeed send. Oh, he's going to lose another tank all by itself. Now he's going to try to save that tank, so he loses a Cyclone. We're going to lose a couple of Hellbats. It's just so hard to engage with mech, right? Like, you don't see 70 supply of mech engaging into 110 supply of biomech. That's just not really a thing that happens. Normally it's slow and steady. Even a single tank is just causing all sorts of issues. With that entire army on the right side, Kelazhur with a low HP army is still going to try to stim in. This is a little overstimmed, Marty, but it's all good because it is going to get where it wants to be, and that is the natural and main base of SpeCial. And SpeCial's supply is about to dip into double digits, and it really does feel that that is the beginning of the end.
Any unit that spawns here is going to die, and that's going to do it. Kelazhur gets the 3-0.